Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Cabinet today. We're going to launch straight in. So I've got item one, which is apologies for absence. So we received apologies for Councillor Ali, Councillor Hussain and Councillor Mushtaq. Yep. All right, thanks. And then this item two is urgent business. We've got two items of urgent business. Item 12, which is a property acquisition due to some external grant funding that we've received that's already set aside actually for this specific purpose. And we're seeking approval to enter into live negotiations around a property on the market. That's right, isn't it, Emma, for that one? And then the second one is the Pride in Place Impact Fund. Again, that's just a grant acceptance, which will be taken in at item 13. And this report is urgent given the timings from the MOU from MHCLG and our desire to get this money in as quickly as possible, because it's really important that we deliver for communities as soon as we can. And so by virtue of Rule 14 of the Constitution and with the permission of the Chair of Place, Economic Growth and Environment Scrutiny Board, and both these items are exempt from the calling process. Is that correct, Emma? Thank you. Item 3 is declarations of interest. Does any member have a declaration that they want to make in relation to any of the items on the agenda? Take silence as no. Okay, item 4 is public question time. As far as I'm aware, we've not received any notification of any public questions. No? Thank you. Item 5 is minute. Can I ask Cabinet if they approve the minutes of the meeting of the Cabinet that was held on the 22nd of December?
Agreed.
Thank you so much. Item 6 is Revenue Monitor and Capital Investment Programme 25-26, month 5. Councillor Jabbar.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. So this report gives you the financial position both for revenue and capital at the end of month 5. Oldham continues to navigate a challenging financial landscape. As of month 5, the projected budget gap for 25-26 stands at 23.209 million, an increase of 2.387 million since quarter 1. This shift reflects mounting pressure faced not just locally but nationally. Oldham is far from alone. Councils across the country are grappling with rising cost and surging demand for vital services. Within Greater Manchester, statutory services, particularly adults and children's service, social care, are under significant strain, the driver being the adverse forecasts included in this report. A rising demand, more residents and businesses are turning to council for support. Notably, there's been sharp increase in demand for SEND services, temporary accommodation, both of which carry substantial cost. Changing needs, the profile of those needing support is shifting. A growing number of working age adults now seek care, making a departure from traditional focus on older population. Escalating cost, inflation and sector-wide price hikes, especially for children residential placement and external fostering, are placing additional pressure on budgets. In terms of what we're doing, Chair, we've done quite a lot. And you know, the exec team have taken decisive steps to strengthen financial control. So what we're seeing is a tighter spending control. So all non-exec expenditure now require director or exec director approval. We've also taken the decision to frozen all recruitment except for critical roles, and they have to be evaluated on a case by case. And these will make difference, but we're having to do this because of really demand, cost pressure, and also increase that we're seeing. So in terms of looking ahead, the Council's financial sustainability hinges on upcoming local government financial settlement for 26-27, which is expected in middle of December. The Council is actively modelling further scenarios based on current and projected demands and assessing whether local support may be necessary. Meanwhile, anticipation builds around the imminent policy statement, which is from the government, which we hope will be at the beginning of next month. This has been changed, I think, 3 times already, but our finance colleague are eagerly waiting for that. And hopefully that will give us some good news, because as a local authority, we get far less funding than what we require to provide key services in Oldham, particularly essential services. Insofar as the capital programme is concerned, and then we started off the year at 108 million, just over 108 million, which has been now adjusted, and the revised budget stands just over 122 million. And the actual expenditure at end of month 5 is £20 million, which is around 16.5% of the total outturn. As always, Chair, we do a review of this programme, and the review will tell us what the future of this budget will be. Invariably, it involves phasing the capital expenditure, and hopefully this will bring down some revenue expenditure. It's detailed, the items I've covered in detail, obviously, in the report. And as always, we've got the corporate exec director, Fiona Greenway, and our new finance director, Lee Walsh, here with me to answer any detailed questions. I'm happy to take any question, Chair, from Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jabbar. Does anybody wish to comment? No? Okay, so I think it's really important to acknowledge actually just how difficult things have been for us in Oldham, but not just here, across the country. And I think it's been really important to also acknowledge like the work that officers have done and the work that you've done as Cabinet Member for Finance in really, really difficult circumstances. And I think whilst we're really, really grateful for the shift to the needs-based funding, but we have to really, really understand and appreciate actually that the conditions for local government continue to be incredibly challenging. And I think we've had a breath of fresh air in the way that, you know, the new government has announced like how that funding is going to be given to us and how it will work and how it will impact in future years. I think what we can't hide away is from the legacy of the austerity from the previous government and how we've navigated through them challenges. But actually, a change of government on day 1 in July 2024 isn't going to give us the sort of like changes that we needed like absolutely immediately. So what we do need is some time for that to build through. And I think reconciling that is really important, and it's really important that actually we manage the expectations as well, because not just here in Oldham but across the country it's really, really difficult. But we are, like as always, really ready to do whatever it takes to both balance the budget and continue supporting our local residents in the best way that we can. And I think, you know, having a direct line to government ministers and everything has been really, really important, and actually has made things really easier, because we've been asking for this like you know, funding based on needs for many, many years, and that will come. But actually, as it stands today, we're still in a situation where we're dealing with legacy issues and we have to continue to reconcile those. So I think thank you so much for everything that you're doing. It is a challenging time, but at least we know there's light at the end of the tunnel. We just need that light to come a lot sooner to help relieve some of this. But like I've said earlier, we're going to do everything that we can take, as always, to do the right thing, be responsible with our finances, balance the budget in the way that our residents expect us to, but also deliver for them at the same time, because our population continues to be challenging, continues to have issues, continues to rely on our support, and the best of public services, making sure that we're delivering for them. So thank you so much for that. We'll go back to the agenda. So we've got, I'm looking at 2 screens here, unfortunately, is item, oh, sorry, I always do this. Does Cabinet agree with the recommendations as set out in the report?
Agreed.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, item 7 is really exciting. It's the sites of biological importance. So Councillor Taylor is going to tell us exactly what they are and why they're so important.
Thank you, Chair. It is a very important report. So a site of biological importance, or an SBI, is an area that has been designated as locally valuable for its habitats and species to aid in nature conservation. These sites are identified based on ecological criteria, such as the presence of important species, valuable habitats like ancient woodlands or wildflower meadows, as well as overall biodiversity. From time to time, the Greater Manchester Ecology Unit surveys SBIs across Greater Manchester and notify the local council of any changes that need to be made to the designations of these SBIs due to changes in the ecology of the site over time, but also including the designation of any new SBIs. After a recent review of some of the SBIs in Oldham, Greater Manchester Ecology Unit has recommended that we make 3 slight amendments to the boundaries of 3 of our SBIs, those being Medlock Headwater and Strinesdale, Moorgate Quarry and Armit Road Lodge, and that we designate an entirely new SBI covering 4.9 hectare of upland heath and acid grassland at Ladcastle Heath to the west of Uppermill. As a result, and to help fulfil our biodiversity duty as a local authority, it is recommended that Cabinet agree these changes and amend the designations of the SBIs, including creating the new SBI at Ladcastle Heath. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. I think it's really important, again, to acknowledge the importance of that report, because I do appreciate that the title of the report might not sound like the most exciting thing in the world, but actually it's really, really important. I think it sets out our plans to strengthen and future-proof Oldham's temporary... Oh, sorry. No, I'm on the next one. Yeah, sorry. I've jumped ahead. Okay, does Cabinet agree with the recommendations of that really exciting report? Yes. Yeah? Agreed. Thank you so much. So item 8, temporary accommodation procurement exercises, nightly paid and emergency accommodation. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. So obviously, as a council, we recognise that there are no quick fixes when it comes to dealing with the current housing crisis. But the government has already committed to massively increase the supply of social homes across the country. And here in Oldham, we are on track to build the 500 new social rented properties by 2029 that you announced, Leader. As Aruj has said on many occasions, we obviously don't just have a statutory duty, we also have a moral duty to house families at risk of homelessness across the borough. So by accepting the recommendations in the report, we will ensure that the council has a framework for temporary accommodation that will allow us to house people in need. It will help support driving up the quality of accommodation on offer, while ensuring that we keep an eye on maintaining the best value for public money. The report details the progress already made in the last 12 months in reducing the number of people residing in temporary accommodation, and this provision will form part of a wider set of measures that we are pursuing to vary the accommodation available to us, while at the same time continuing to increase our focus on prevention. Consequently, we are seeking approval for option 1, the recommended option, to allow for a full procurement exercise to take place to provide us with a robust framework for this accommodation going forwards. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Taylor. Does any member have questions or comments on that? Councillor Jabbar.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I think this is a really important report, and I really welcome it. I think dealing with the housing crisis that we have, not just in our town, but nationally, is really important, because good housing means a lot of things to people, and especially dealing with people who live in temporary accommodation is important. So I'm really pleased that we've got a very clear plan here to deal with the issues that are facing this town, particularly homeless people. I think also, Chair, that you mentioned about the new government announcing to build £1.5 million over the period of next 5 years is really important. And I hope that we will get the capital money which will enable social housing to be built, but also other form of tenure which desperately is needed in this town. So I welcome this, but I also welcome the government's investment into housing, particularly social housing.
I agree entirely. I think it's really important, and I think Councillor Taylor, I think this is like a piece of work, because obviously we're working not just to like make sure we procure the right kind of properties and continue to meet our legal duties, but more importantly, I think for us it's just ensuring that We continue to provide safe, suitable places for residents that are at risk of homelessness. And at a time when they need our support the most. And I think by formalising these kind of arrangements, then we're not only improving that quality and consistency of provision, but we're working to reduce costs and the reliance on emergency placements as well, which is simultaneously happening, and it's helping us then deliver better outcomes for our residents. And I think that's what you do when you try to use the best of public resources, and I think that's really important to acknowledge. But we do this on the backdrop of knowing that we've got a real issue with housing here in Oldham. And I think the proactive political priority around the Housing Task Force has been really important in addressing some of this. It means that we're working with key partners to make sure that we're not only trying to build new homes now for the people that are on our register and stuff like that, but we're also working with private landlords to make sure that the housing offer, where people don't choose to come to us and look for support and a home outside of us, is to a standard that we can all be proud of. And obviously it's not an easy task when you're dealing with so many different and competing priorities, but we'll always do our best in that regard. So thank you so much for all the work that you and your team are doing in that space as well. So if no other member wishes to speak, can we move to the recommendations as set out in the report? Thank you so much. Item 9 is extend the contract term for the delivery of accommodation-based services. It's back to you, Councillor Taylor.
Thank you again, Chair. So members will recall that Councillor Brownridge previously brought forward a report in relation to accommodation-based services, and that report approved a 12-month extension of these crucial services, along with the transfer of the management of these contracts from adult social care to housing. These contracts are fulfilled by a series of trusted providers, SafeNet and Petrus, both working in partnership with Regenda, and DePaul UK. They provide short-term accommodation and support for vulnerable people in housing crisis, working with residents to provide the stable environment they need to allow them to progress, to allow them to live independently. We are aware that the government is in the process of reviewing regulations around supported housing in order to implement new legislation in this area. So rather than review our current contracts while this process is ongoing, this report seeks approval for a further 12-month extension of this provision, which will allow for it to be reviewed in light of these new regulations when they come forward. Alongside this, the report seeks delegated approval of these contracts to be moved from adult social care to neighbourhoods in recognition of the previous transfer of contract management. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Does any member wish to speak on that report? Do members agree with the recommendations as set out in the report? Thank you so much. Item 10, Councillor Taylor, is you again, and it's the approval of grant funding agreement with the Combined Authority for the provision of community accommodation services.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the Community Accommodation Service provides much needed short-term accommodation to support people who have nowhere to live when they leave prison. This allows for a period of support to ease this transition and ensure that people in this situation have access to the help they need to both secure settled accommodation and also to map their path to a crime-free future, reducing homelessness and the likelihood of reoffending. In Oldham, the scheme expanded from 10 beds to 15 during 2024. This report recommends approval of a grant agreement with GMCA, which will provide full funding for this programme to continue until December 2027. And I actually asked for the numbers in the last 12 months of how many people this programme has helped, and it's in the region of 80. So it's worthwhile and obviously something that I hope everybody will support. Thank you.
Thanks to Councillor Taylor. Another important piece of work. Does any member wish to speak on that report? Do members agree with the recommendations as set out in the report? Thank you. The detail of those recommendations will be discussed and considered item 16. Yep. Thank you. Item 11, Oldham Active Agency Model. Councillor Dean.
Thank you, Leader. I welcome this report. It's a move to bring OCL into an agency model, and it will undoubtedly give and relieve uncertainty in procurement. It will give a lot more improved services for the residents of the town, and also give the council more influence on the policy and direction and strategy as well of sport and OCL. And of course, as well, one of the big advantages is it will give very significant financial savings both in year and in years to come, which is always a bonus. And I welcome the cooperation of OCL and the Management Board in agreeing and working with us to actually bring this paper forward, and also welcoming the move into an agency model. So I would ask members to agree with the recommendation within the report.
Thank you, Councillor Dean. Does any member wish to speak? No? Do members agree with the recommendations as set out in the report? Okay, and then we're going to discuss the remainder in item 17. Okay, so item 12, excuse me, is me. So this is the report that I mentioned right at the start of the meeting, so the urgent report, and it actually marks another really, really significant step actually in our commitment to revitalising the cultural quarter and Oldham's town centre. And I think if this building, the specific building on Yorkshire Street, this site, it's been neglected for so long. It's a site for sore eyes, but actually it's exchanged so many different hands over time as well, which has meant that people have like purchased it, then left it there and done absolutely nothing with it. And actually what it's done for us is it's given us an opportunity to really enhance the plans that we already have for the Coliseum. And as much as we're all really excited about that as a project, about the Coliseum as a project, this will mean that this will now give us an opportunity to create a really vibrant space for residents and visitors to enjoy when they come and visit the Coliseum in the future as well. So it's really important, and it's about really unlocking some of that potential of the area. It's about, you know, really enhancing the community pride that we have here in Oldham and making Oldham a more welcoming and attractive place for everyone, because we often hear our residents say that actually that part of Yorkshire Street doesn't feel as welcoming. So it again shows and demonstrates that we listen to our residents. So it's really important, and I think the final sort of like considerations and details I think we're discussing in item 18 for that report. So for now it's just for noting. So does any other member wish to speak on that report? No? Okay, so we'll discuss it a bit later on at item 18. Okay, so the next item again is mine. So it's the Pride in Place Impact Fund, and again I mentioned in my opening remarks that this is another urgent item, and it's about grant acceptance for the Pride in Place Impact Fund. It's a relatively straightforward report. It's to accept the recently announced £1.5 million that has been allocated to Oldham from the Labour government. This money will allow us to invest directly in spaces that matter most to our residents, from revitalising our high streets, our town centres, to enhancing parks, play areas and community facilities. And our aim with this money is to do exactly what it says on the tin, and is to help restore pride in our borough. So really straightforward. So does any member wish to speak on that report? No? Okay, does Cabinet agree with the recommendations as set out in the report?
Agreed.
Okay, so item 14 is exclusion of the press and public. Can I ask somebody to move?
Moved.
Second, Chair.
Thank you so much.